Greetings, Lancaster Theological Seminary community and friends. Each year, the faculty awards endowed prizes to students who have demonstrated excellence in preaching, biblical interpretation, church history, pastoral care, and field education, service to church and community, and ministry in rural and urban settings. One award is even given to the child or spouse of a student. This year, we are pleased to announce that 23 prizes have been awarded. Congratulations to this year's prize winners for your well-earned recognition. And now for the winners. The Raymond W. Albright Prize in History is given to the student who has demonstrated the greatest proficiency in church history through an essay or source, notably in American church history. This year's awardee is Kenneth Wubbles. The Reverend Dolores Berry Liberation Theology Preaching Prize is awarded each year to the student who preaches a sermon that best embodies the principles of liberation theology. Preference will be given to a graduating senior. And the winner is Rachel Compton Monell. The Class of 1892 prize is for the best written sermon by a student. This year's Class of 1892 prize is awarded to Patty Hall. The Herman M. Lutz Prize in Christian Education is awarded to a seminarian or seminarians who have demonstrated special gifts and competence in the teaching office of ministry through field education, the parish training program, or other local church experience. This year's prize is awarded to Stephanie Ulrich and Equilla Curry. The Schaff Prize in Church History is awarded to a seminarian who has completed the basic church history course and who writes the best paper on an assigned topic in church history during the academic year. This year's Schaff Prize in Church History is awarded to Melinda Bradley. The Glenn Dean Memorial Prize is awarded annually to the student who has made the most significant contributions in the arts, church music, or contemporary worship. This year's Glenn Dean Memorial Prize is awarded to Jenna Duranko. The Richard B. Hull Memorial Scholarship Fund was set up to provide a cash scholarship award for the musical enrichment of a child or spouse of a full-time candidate for a master's degree at Lancaster Theological Seminary. This year's Richard B. Hull Memorial Scholarship is awarded to the son of Bambi Galore. Bambi's son Newton intends to use the award to learn to play the piano because all his classmates know how. The Edith and Robert T. Fouth Prize is awarded to an MDiv student for the purchase of books. This year's Edith and Robert T. Fouth Prize is awarded to Jack Cassander. The Nevin R. France Prize in Rural Church Ministry is awarded to a member of the graduating class showing promise for rural pastorate work. This year's recipients of the Nevin R. France Prize in Rural Church Ministry are Patty Hall and Beth Taylor. The Guy and Emma Moyer Award is intended to enable a student to continue his, her, or their research and education through the purchase of desired books. The Guy and Emma Moyer Award is given to Tom Rim. The Dr. Paul Reed Pontius Memorial Award in Scholarship is given to a student who has excelled in the area of worship. The Dr. Paul Reed Pontius Memorial Award in Worship is given to Elisa Palmer. The Reverend Thomas W. Rhodes Prize in Biblical Interpretation, Old Testament, is intended for the purchase of resources to aid in the interpretation of Scripture, and to the seminarian who has demonstrated excellence in work in Old Testament courses and who shows promise of creative and responsible use of the Old Testament in the teaching and preaching ministries of the church. This year's Reverend Thomas W. Rhodes Prize in Biblical Interpretation for the Old Testament is Rachel Compton Monell. The Reverend Thomas W. Rhodes Prize in Biblical Interpretation, New Testament, is intended for the purchase of resources to aid in the interpretation of Scripture and to the seminarian who demonstrated excellence in work in New Testament courses and who shows promise of creative and responsible use of the New Testament in the teaching and preaching ministries of the church. And the Reverend Thomas W. Rhodes Prize in Biblical Interpretation, New Testament, is awarded to Elisa Palmer. The Frederick Schaeffer Prize in Church and Community is awarded to a seminarian chosen by the faculty who demonstrates excellence in the field of religion and society during the academic year. The Frederick Schaeffer Prize in Church and Community is awarded to Declan J. Lewis. The Faculty Prize in Theology is granted to a first-year student in the MDiv program who demonstrates a high degree of creativity and analytic rigor in the study of theology through written work composed for any class. This year's Faculty Prize in Theology is awarded to Quentin Lawson. The Barbara Kirshner Daniel Award in Field Education is awarded to a student who demonstrates special skills, competence, and creativity in the pastoral field. The Barbara Kirshner Daniel Award in Field Education is awarded to Amanda Marr. The Nathan Baxter Prize is given to a student demonstrating promise and commitment to inner-city ministries to congregations of color with preference for Black students. This year's Nathan Baxter Prize is awarded to Luvinia McDougald and John Brewington. The Unitarian Universalist Preaching Prize is awarded to a master's level Unitarian Universalist student for a sermon that best embodies the values and principles of the Unitarian Universalist tradition. This year's Unitarian Universalist Preaching Prize is awarded to Bambi Galore. The Frank Stoffa Faculty Prize in Pastoral Theology is awarded in memory of the late Frank Stoffa for pastoral theology to a student who demonstrates effective practice of pastoral care in both parish and non-traditional ministry settings. This year's recipient of the Frank Stoffa Faculty Prize in Pastoral Theology is Kelly Johansson. The Rural Church Prize is given to a member of the graduating class for notable achievement in the field of rural church in the Department of Church and Community. The recipient of the Rural Church Prize is Rodney Gross. Congratulations to each of our prize winners. You will receive a certificate and a gold cord symbolizing your achievement in your student mailbox. Your checks will be mailed to your address of record in the business office. The Seminary and Community Council held their elections earlier in April. The results are in, and the winners are Moderator, Vivian Utsi Davis. Vice Moderator, Mark Ochterman. Secretary, Joanne Ludy. Member at Large, Kelly Johansson. Congratulations to the 24-25 SCC officers, and our thanks to outgoing officers, Moderator Equilla Curry, and Member at Large, Stephanie Ulrich, for their service. Congratulations to the Lancaster Theological Seminary Class of 2024. For the Ministerial Institute Certificate from the Pennsylvania Academy of Ministry, Ray Regal. The Master of Arts in Ministry and Leadership, Melinda Bradley. The Master of Arts in Religion, Zoe Didine. The Master of Divinity, Rachel Compton Manel. Equilla Curry. Rodney Gross. Patricia Hall. Bambi Galore. John Cassander. Stephanie Ulrich. David Piltz. Beth Taylor. David Yost. And the Doctor of Ministry, Daniel Furman. Quentin Scott. Rose Shepley. Yoko Ueda. Congratulations to the graduates, newly elected SCC officers, and prize winners. I look forward to seeing you all at commencement.